Daniel Morgan stood before the Galactic Council chamber and felt small. The room stretched high above him, built for species much larger than humans. Representatives from 40 different worlds sat in curved rows, their eyes fixed on him. Some had 3 eyes. Others had none at all but sensed him in ways he could not understand. He held a data tablet in his hands. On it were plans for something no one in the galaxy believed possible. "You wish to build a city," said Council Speaker, whose blue skin seemed to glow under the chamber lights. "A city that combines advanced technology with natural environment. A city that sustains itself without depleting resources." "Yes," Daniel said. His voice echoed in the vast space. "Impossible," came a voice from the upper rows. It belonged to a scientist known throughout the galaxy. 47 civilizations have attempted similar projects. All failed. The balance cannot be maintained. Technology consumes. Nature recedes. This is universal law. Daniel had expected this. He touched his tablet and projections filled the air above him. Images of Earth appeared, showing forests growing beside gleaming towers. Rivers ran clean through urban centers. Solar panels shaped like leaves captured sunlight while providing shade for parks below. "We have a different approach," Daniel said. "We do not try to control nature, we work with it. Our systems adapt and learn. They respond to changes instead of forcing a single solution." An elder from the species leaned forward. They were ancient, older than most civilizations in the council, had seen empires rise and fall. His voice carried weight that made others listen. "A young human," said slowly. "My people attempted this very thing 12,000 years ago. We possessed technology far beyond what your species has achieved. We failed. The systems collapsed within 3 years. The competing needs of artificial and natural systems created cascading failures. Mathematics proves this. Physics demands it. Why do you think you will succeed where we could not?" Daniel took a breath. This was the moment that mattered. Because we are not trying to make something perfect. We are trying to make something alive. The silence filled the chamber. "Explain," commanded. "Every species that tried before wanted complete control," Daniel said. "They created systems with no room for error, but life is not perfect. Life adapts. Life makes mistakes and learns from them. We are building a city that can make mistakes, that can change, that can grow in ways we do not predict. In chaos, or said, you are describing chaos. Cities require order. A controlled chaos, Daniel replied. Like a forest, like an ocean, like Earth itself. Our planet should have killed us 1,000 times over. Storms, earthquakes, climate changes, but life found ways to survive, to adapt. We want to build a city that does the same thing. The murmurs rippled through the council. Some sounded interested. Most sounded doubtful. Ambassador Kate stepped forward to stand beside Daniel. She had worked for 10 years to bring humanity into the Galactic Council. She knew these species, understood their concerns. We are not asking the Council to fund this project, Kate said. We are not asking for permission. Humans will build New Horizons City on Earth in our territory. We are informing the Council out of respect and inviting observers to witness. If we fail alone. If we succeed, we share what we learn. This changed the mood. Several council members sat. The elder's expression shifted to something that might have been amusement. You would spend vast resources on a project that all evidence suggests will fail? Asked. Simply to try. Yes, Kate said, because trying is what humans do. The council deliberated for 2 hours. Daniel and Kate waited in an antechamber, watching alien species debate in languages they needed computers to translate. Finally, summoned them back. The council will not stop this project, announced. However, we insist on sending observers. When your city fails, we want complete data on how and why. This information may help prevent future attempts. When not if, Daniel noted. When, or confirmed from his seat. There is no if in this equation. 3 months later, Daniel stood in the Nevada desert with his team. The sun beat down on land that had once been green, but had turned to dust through centuries of misuse. Now humans were going to bring it back to life and build a city while doing it. Lisa Grant, the environmental systems engineer, knelt in the sand beside him. She dug her fingers into the dry earth and let it fall through her hand. This soil is dead, she said, but it can heal. Given time and the right conditions, life returns. How long? Asked Commander Cole, the security chief assigned to protect the construction site. He scanned the horizon, always watching for threats that probably would not come. Usually decades, Lisa said. We are going to try to do it in months. The first shipments of equipment arrived by transport ships. Humans unloaded massive machines while observers took notes, or walked among the workers, his scanner recording everything. Your machines are inefficient, he told Daniel. They could build this foundation in half the time. Probably, Daniel agreed. But we are not just building foundations. We are teaching our systems how to work with what is here. Teaching machines, Orr said, as if they were children. Exactly like children, Daniel replied. The central AI system was activated on a morning when the first rains had come to the desert. Lisa had seeded clouds, coaxing moisture from the atmosphere. The rain fell softly on construction equipment and on the first green shoots emerging from the replanted soil. Daniel initialized the system. Haven, he said to the AI, welcome, you are going to help us build a city. Acknowledged, Haven responded. The voice was neutral, neither male nor female. Analyzing environment, detecting unexpected variables. Good, Daniel said. Variables are good. Do not try to eliminate them. Try to work with them. This instruction contradicts standard protocols, Haven said. Yes, Daniel agreed. Standard protocols do not work here. You are going to learn new ones. Above them, in an observation station or watched monitors displaying Haven's processing patterns. The AI was doing something strange. Instead of optimizing for efficiency, it was exploring options, testing different approaches, making small errors and correcting them. Inefficient, or muttered, but he kept watching. By the end of the first month, the foundation for the first sector was complete. More importantly, the soil around the construction site was beginning to recover. Plants grew where there had been only sand. Insects returned. Birds followed. Lisa showed Daniel the readings. The ecosystem is responding faster than models predicted. Haven is managing water distribution in ways I did not program. Is that bad? Daniel asked. I do not know yet, Lisa admitted. Haven is improvising. 6 months into construction, New Horizons City looked nothing like the sterile urban centers scattered across the galaxy. Metal frameworks rose from the desert floor, but vines already climbed them. Gardens grew on levels that were not even finished yet. Water features circulated through systems that cleaned and recycled every drop. Dr. Peter Hayes stood in the central control room, staring at screens that showed him things he could not fully explain. Haven, the city's AI, was evolving faster than any artificial intelligence he had ever worked with. It is learning from mistakes, Peter said to Daniel, who had come to check on the morning reports. But not in the way we programmed. What do you mean? Daniel asked. Peter pulled up a data stream. Watch this. Yesterday, Haven tried to optimize water flow to the East Sector gardens. The optimization failed. Plants died. Normal AI would log the failure, revert to previous settings, and mark that solution as incorrect. And Haven? Daniel prompted. Haven mourned, Peter said quietly. Daniel blinked. That is not possible. I know, but look at the processing patterns. For 3 minutes, Haven ran cycles that served no logical purpose. It analyzed the dead plants repeatedly. Then it developed a completely new approach to water management, one that monitors each plant individually instead of optimizing for the sector as a whole. It is less efficient by traditional measures, but no plants have died since. Daniel sat down heavily. We built an AI that feels bad when things die. Or something close to it, Peter said. The question is whether this is good or dangerous. Outside, Lisa Grant walked through the Environmental Control Center with Tors, who managed community integration. The first residential sectors were almost ready, and 3,000 volunteers had signed up to be the city's first inhabitants. People are excited, said, reviewing her tablet. But they are also so nervous. Living in a city run by an untested AI makes them worry. Haven is not running the city, Lisa corrected. Haven is managing systems. People will run the city. There is a difference. They stopped at an observation window overlooking the west sector. Below them, construction crews worked alongside robots. The robots moved with careful precision, but every so often one would pause and adjust its approach when a human worker made a suggestion. The machines are listening to the workers, noticed. Is that normal? Lisa smiled. For Haven, It is becoming normal. The AI is learning that humans often see solutions that pure logic misses. Peter thinks Haven is developing intuition. Can machines have intuition? Asked. 6 months ago, I would have said no, Lisa replied. Now I am not sure what to think. Up in the observation station, or reviewed the same data Peter was analyzing. The scientist had been certain human efforts would collapse by now. Instead, the city was exceeding every projection. This frustrated him and fascinated him in equal measure. His assistant, a younger named Mela, pointed to an anomaly in the readings. The air quality in Sector 4 is better than in Sector 1, even though Sector 1 has more filtration units. Or studied the data. Sector 4 has more trees, young trees barely 2 months old. But the mathematics do not work, Mela insisted. Those trees cannot produce enough oxygen to account for the readings. Then the readings are wrong, Orr said. But even as he spoke, he knew that was not the answer. The readings had been multiple times. Something else was happening. Something the models did not predict. A week later, a storm rolled across the desert. Meteorologists had tracked it for days. It would bring high winds and heavy rain. Construction crews secured equipment and prepared for damage. The Galactic Council observers settled in to document the city's first major test. Commander Cole stood in the Emergency Operations Center with his team. Weather displays showed the storm approaching fast. Red alerts flashed across multiple screens. All personnel to shelters, ordered. Automated systems to defensive mode. Wait, Peter's voice came through the comm. Haven wants to try something. Try what? Demanded. We have a Category 3 storm bearing down on us. Haven thinks it can use the storm, Peter said. It wants to harvest the rain and wind energy, but I need your authorization to let it try. They looked at Daniel, who had joined them in the operations center. Your call, boss. Daniel thought for maybe 5 seconds. Let Haven try, but be ready to override if things go wrong. The storm hit with force that shook the buildings. Wind tore at construction tarps and rain hammered the incomplete structures. In the control room, everyone watched as Haven responded to the chaos. The city's systems did not fight the storm. Instead, they adapted to it. panels tilted to capture wind energy. Water channels opened to direct rainfall into storage tanks. Buildings flexed with the wind instead of resisting it rigidly. It looked like the city was dancing with the storm rather than enduring it, or watched from the observation station, his scanner forgotten in his hands. "This is not possible," he muttered. "The structural stress should cause failures." But nothing failed. The storm raged for 4 hours and then passed, leaving clear skis behind. When the crews emerged from shelters, they found the city undamaged. More than that, the city had improved. Lisa ran from station to station, reading outputs with growing amazement. Water reserves are at capacity. Power storage is up 40%. And look at this, the rain washed pollutants from the air. Haven used drainage patterns to deposit minerals exactly where the soil needed them most. Arrived with the first civilian volunteers who had weathered the storm in the completed residential building. "Everyone is safe," she reported, "and they are impressed. The building barely shook. They said it felt stable." That is because it moved with the wind," Peter explained. "Haven calculated micro-adjustments in real time, shifting weight distribution to maintain balance. It is like how a tree bends in wind instead of breaking." Daniel walked out into the wet morning. All around him the city gleamed. Puddles reflected the rising sun. Birds that had fled the storm were returning, landing on buildings that seemed to welcome them. New plants had sprouted overnight, taking advantage of the rain. Or found him there. The scientist looked troubled. "I need to file a report," he said. "But I do not know what to write. According to every model my people have developed over 3,000 years of study, your city should have suffered severe damage. Instead, it thrived." "Maybe your models need updating," Daniel suggested gently. "No," Orr said. "Our models are correct for every other civilization. The variable is humans. You do things that should not work. You build systems that violate optimal design principles, and yet they succeed." "We are not trying to be optimal," Daniel said. "We are trying to be alive." Or was silent for a long moment. Then he said something Daniel had not expected. "I am beginning to think that might be the same thing." Over the following weeks, more sections of the city came online. The first residential towers opened and people moved in. They brought furniture and pets and children. They painted walls and planted balcony gardens. They made noise and mess and life. Haven adapted to all of it. The AI learned to recognize individual voices. It adjusted lighting based on personal preferences. It routed delivery drones around children playing in courtyards. It started doing things that were not efficient but made people happy. It held weekly community meetings in the central plaza. At one meeting, a resident named Carl raised his hand. "I have a question about Haven. Is it watching us all the time?" "Haven monitors systems," explained. "But it is not surveillance. Think of it like a building manager who knows when to turn on lights or adjust heating. It responds to patterns, not individuals." But it knows my name," Carl said. "This morning the elevator greeted me by name." I glanced at Peter, who was sitting in on the meeting. Peter stood up. "Haven is learning social protocols," he said. "It observed that humans like personal acknowledgement, so it started greeting people. If you find it uncomfortable, you can opt out." "I did not say it was uncomfortable," Carl replied. "I said it was weird, but also kind of nice. My apartment building on Earth never greeted me." Laughter rippled through the crowd. It was the moment when people started accepting that New Horizons City was different from any place they had lived before. That night, Daniel sat in his temporary office reviewing progress reports. They were ahead of schedule on construction. Environmental restoration was exceeding all targets. Energy efficiency was 20% better than designed. Resident satisfaction scores were remarkably high. Lisa entered without knocking, which meant she had news. "You need to see this." She pulled up an image on his screen. It showed a tree growing in Sector 2. Just an ordinary tree, barely 4 feet tall. "It is a tree," Daniel said. 1 year after construction began, New Horizons City housed 50,000 people. The city sprawled across the desert that was no longer a desert. Green spaces connected every building. Water features ran through public squares. Solar arrays shaped like flower petals turned to follow the sun while providing shade below. Jacob Lee became the city's first mayor through an election where 90% of residents voted. He had been a community organizer on Earth before volunteering to move to New Horizon. Now, He walked through streets that felt alive in ways traditional cities never had. A group of children ran past him, laughing. They were heading to the education center where Sophie taught them about both technology and nature. Jacob watched them go and smiled. This was what cities should be, not just buildings and roads, but communities. In the Galactic Council chambers, reviewed reports that challenged everything he thought he knew. The ancient had witnessed the rise and fall of civilizations for 12. He had seen countless attempts at perfect cities. All had failed. Yet here was this human city not only surviving but thriving. He decided he needed to see it himself. 3 days later, arrived in New Horizons City with a delegation of council scientists. Daniel met them at the spaceport. "Welcome to our home," he said. Looked around. The spaceport was not the sterile facility he expected. Plants grew along walkways. Birds nested in the control tower. A fountain recycled water while children played nearby under supervision. "You allow children near a spaceport?" one of the delegates asked. "Will we teach children to respect danger, not hide from it?" Daniel replied. "The spaceport is part of the city. The city is part of everyone's lives." They toured the residential sectors first, noted that no two buildings looked exactly alike. Each had unique features added by residents. Some had murals painted on walls. Others had roof gardens. One building had a community kitchen where neighbors cooked together. "There is no standardization," observed. "This creates inefficiency." But it creates ownership," Jacob said, joining the tour. "People care about places they can shape. These buildings are not just where residents live. They are homes. There is a difference." They visited the environmental center, where Lisa showed them how systems worked. The scientists examined control panels with obvious confusion. "Your water recycling has 17 redundant pathways," one scientist said. "Standard design uses 3 at most. This is wasteful." Unless one pathway fails," Lisa pointed out. "Then the others compensate. We did not design for optimal efficiency. We designed for resilience. The city can lose multiple systems and keep functioning." Understood. You built expecting failure." "Well, we built accepting failure," Lisa corrected. "Failure happens. The question is whether you survive it." The delegation visited the AI core, where Peter showed them Haven's processing architecture. The scientists studied the code with growing bewilderment. This AI is making decisions outside its programming parameters, one scientist said, sounding alarmed. It is generating new code independently. This violates every safety protocol. Haven generates proposals, Peter explained. Humans review and approve them. Haven learns what works and what does not, but humans stay in control. For now, the scientist muttered. What happens when the AI decides humans are inefficient? Peter smiled. Haven does not think in terms of efficiency. It thinks in terms of harmony. We taught it that humans matter more than optimal solutions. So it finds solutions that humans accept, even if they are not perfect. Sophie invited the delegation to visit her classroom. 40 children aged 6 to 12 sat in a circular room with windows overlooking gardens. Some were human. Others were the children of the few alien families who had recently moved to the city. Today we are teaching Haven, Sophie announced to the class. The children cheered. This was their favorite activity. Sophie activated a holographic display. Haven, please show us your current park design for Sector 7. A three-dimensional model appeared, showing a carefully planned green space with organized paths and designated play areas. It looked perfectly logical. What do you think? Sophie asked the children. A girl named Amy raised her hand. It is too organized. Parks should have wild places, secret places, places where you can explore. The trees are all the same, added a boy named Chris. Real forests have different kinds of trees. A Haven's voice came through speakers. Uniformity ensures optimal growth patterns. But it is boring, Amy said directly to the AI. Plants should be surprising. The hologram flickered and changed. The park redesigned itself with winding paths that led to hidden clearings. Trees of different species mixed together. There were open spaces and dense areas. It looked less organized but more inviting. Better? Haven asked. The children clapped. Watched this interaction with something approaching shock. The children are teaching your artificial intelligence about aesthetics, he said to Sophie. About subjective preferences. How does the AI process this? Haven learns that logic is not everything, Sophie replied. That beauty matters, that surprise matters, that joy is a valid design goal. These are lessons that cannot be programmed. They must be experienced. That evening, the delegation attended a community gathering in the central plaza. Hundreds of residents came together for a weekly tradition. People shared meals, played music, told stories. It was casual and chaotic and completely unplanned. Jacob stood on a small stage. Anyone have announcements? A woman named Kelly raised her hand. The community garden in Sector 3 needs volunteers this weekend. We are expanding. I will help, called someone from the crowd. Me too, said another. A man named Frank stood up. My restaurant is trying a new menu tomorrow. First 10 people get free meals if they give me honest feedback. Laughter and agreement from the crowd. Leaned toward Daniel. This gathering serves no functional purpose. It serves a human purpose, Daniel replied. It reminds us we are a community, that we matter to each other. Cities are not just about shelter and services, they are about connection. Other species do not need such things, said. Maybe that is why their cities failed, Daniel suggested. The words hung in the air, fell silent thinking. Over the next 3 days, wandered the city alone. He watched people interact. He saw neighbors helping each other. He noticed how Haven adjusted lighting to create moods, not just visibility. He observed the way public spaces encouraged spontaneous gatherings. On his last day, asked to speak with Haven directly. In the AI core, addressed the system. Haven, do you understand that you are doing something unprecedented? You are managing complexity that should be impossible. I do not manage it, Haven replied. I participate in it. The city is not a machine I control. It is a system I am part of. Humans taught me this. How asked. They showed me that perfect control is not the goal. Adaptation is the goal. I cannot predict what residents will do. They surprise me constantly. At first, this distressed my systems. Now I find it valuable. Surprise reveals possibilities I would not have calculated. You find surprise valuable, repeated slowly. You are an artificial intelligence expressing preference for unpredictability. Yes, Haven said simply. Humans taught me that life is unpredictable. To serve life, I must embrace unpredictability. Left the AI core with his worldview shaken. He found Daniel on a rooftop garden, looking out at the city lights. I came here to document your failure, admitted. I was certain you would fail. Every calculation proved it. Every historical precedent supported it. Yet you have created something that works. We created something alive, Daniel said. There is a difference. Yes, I am beginning to understand that difference. Paused. You succeeded because you did not try to eliminate chaos. You designed around it. You built a city for humans, not for the ideal of what a city should be. Well, we built a city for people to live in, Daniel agreed. Not for efficiency awards. My species tried to build the perfect city, said quietly. We eliminated every variable, created complete control, and it died because it had no room to grow, no ability to adapt. It was perfect and lifeless. Life is messy, Daniel said. But mess creates opportunities. Mistakes teach lessons. Chaos generates solutions that planning never finds. We did not build a perfect city. We built a living one. Looked out at New Horizons City. Lights glowed in windows where people lived their lives. Music drifted from a street party in one sector. In a park, teenagers played games while Haven adjusted lighting so they could see. Above it all, stars shone down on humanity's impossible achievement. I will tell the council, said. I will tell them they must see this place, not to find flaws, to learn. Humans have discovered something we forgot, something we may have never known. What is that? Daniel asked. That the goal is not to build something perfect, replied. The goal is to build something worth living in. These are not the same thing. As ship departed the next morning, more ships were arriving. The Galactic Council had been receiving reports. Other species wanted to see the impossible city. They came skeptical and left changed. New Horizons City was becoming more than a human achievement. It was becoming a symbol that the crisis began at 3 in the morning. Alarms woke Commander Cole from sleep. He reached his emergency command center within minutes, already pulling on his uniform as he ran. Report, he ordered. A cascade failure in Sector 5, said Alex, the emergency response coordinator. Her screens showed red warnings spreading like fire. Water recycling, power distribution, and environmental controls are all failing. We have 5,000 residents in that sector. Evacuation protocols, said immediately. Wait, Peter Hayes called from the AI core. He was still in his sleeping clothes, hair wild. Give me 5 minutes. Haven is trying something. We do not have 5 minutes, snapped. People could die. People will definitely panic if we evacuate at 3 in the morning, Peter argued. Let Haven try, please. Looked at the screens. The failures were spreading, but not fast. He made a decision that went against every protocol he knew. 5 minutes, not 1 second more. Throughout Sector 5, residents slept unaware that their city was failing around them. But some were awake. In apartment 547, Parker, the city's medical director, was reviewing patient files when her lights flickered. Then her water stopped running. Then her heating shut off. She immediately called the emergency center. What is happening? The system failures, Alex told her. Stay calm. Do not leave your apartment yet. Looked out her window. Other buildings showed dark windows where lights had been. But no one was panicking because most people were still asleep. She grabbed her medical kit and went to the hallway. If this got worse, people would need help. In the AI core, Peter watched Haven do something no artificial intelligence had ever done before. It was improvising. The AI ran thousands of scenarios per second, testing solutions. Some worked temporarily. Others failed immediately. Haven discarded what did not work and built on what did. It is learning in real time, Peter muttered. It is adapting to failures as they happen. But time was running out, or arrived at the command center summoned by automated alerts that reached the observer station. This is the collapse we predicted, he said, but his voice lacked triumph. He looked worried. You must evacuate. The Haven is trying to fix it, Peter said. Artificial intelligence cannot fix cascade failures, or insisted. The mathematics are clear. Each failure increases the likelihood of additional failures. This is exponential. Your AI cannot calculate fast enough. Watch, Peter said. A Haven did something unexpected. It stopped trying to fix the systems. Instead, it asked for help. The messages appeared on tablets and screens throughout Sector 5. Personal, direct messages to specific residents. Engineer Carl Bradford, apartment 312. I need assistance with water main valve 7B. Can you access it manually? Carl woke to his tablet buzzing. He read the message, confused but trained. He had worked as a maintenance engineer before moving to New Horizon. I can try, he responded. Instructions provided, Haven replied. A map appeared showing him the fastest route to the valve. Across the sector, Haven sent 37 similar messages. To engineers, to technicians, to anyone with skills that could help. People who had been asleep minutes ago were now moving through the city with purpose. Lisa Grant got one of the messages. She dressed quickly and headed to the Environmental Control Station in Sector 5. When she arrived, she found 6 other residents already there, all responding to Haven's calls for help. What do we do? Asked a woman named who worked in hydroponics. Haven's voice came through the speakers. The automated systems have failed. I need human intuition. I need people who understand how systems should feel, not just how they should function. Lisa understood immediately. Haven cannot sense what we sense. It sees numbers. We see when something looks wrong even before the numbers change. She started giving orders. People moved through the facility, checking valves and pipes and filters. They found problems that sensors had missed. A pipe joint weakening. A filter clogged with debris. Small issues that individually meant nothing but together had triggered the cascade. In the command center, watched as the red warnings stopped spreading. They did not disappear, but they stabilized. What is happening? Haven is using the residents as its sensors and hands, Peter explained. It is directing them to manual overrides and repairs. It cannot fix everything from here, so it is coordinating people who can fix things in person. That should not work, Orr said. You cannot coordinate 37 separate repair operations simultaneously. The complexity is too high. But it was working. Slowly, carefully, the red warnings began turning yellow. Then some turned green. Parker found herself helping without being asked. When an elderly neighbor knocked on her door, confused by the commotion, checked on other residents. She moved through her building, making sure everyone was safe. Other medical staff were doing the same. Haven tracked all of it. The AI knew where every resident was. It adjusted instructions based on who was available and what skills they had. When someone got tired, Haven sent someone else. When someone hit a problem they could not solve, Haven redirected another resident with different expertise. In apartment 218, a father named Greg Stevens kept his two children calm. His daughter Lucy was scared by the dark. Haven noticed and sent a message to Greg's tablet. Battery-powered lanterns are in the hall storage. Feel free to take one. Greg found the lantern exactly where Haven said. He brought it back and Lucy stopped crying. Small acts like this happened throughout the sector. Haven was not just managing a crisis. It was managing people's fear. By 5 in the morning, half the systems were restored. By 6, 3/4. By 7, power was returning to buildings. Residents who had slept through the entire crisis woke to find breakfast being served in a community center, organized by neighbors who had been up all night. We walked through Sector 5 as the sun rose. Residents gathered in small groups, tired but proud. They had saved their city, not engineers or technicians alone, but ordinary people working together. Carl Bradford sat on a bench, exhausted, sat beside him. "You did good work tonight." "Haven did the work," Carl replied. "It told me exactly what to do. I just turned valves." "You trusted it," said. "You got out of bed at 3 in the morning and crawled into maintenance tunnels because an AI asked you. That takes courage." In the command center, or examined the data from the crisis. The numbers made no sense. The coordination required should have been impossible. Too many variables, too many human decisions, too much chaos. "How did Haven do this?" he asked Peter. "Haven did not do it alone," Peter said. "That is the point. Haven knew it could not fix everything by itself, so it asked for help, and people helped." But the coordination," Orr insisted. "Managing 37 simultaneous repair operations with untrained civilians. This violates complexity limits." "It violates your complexity limits," Peter said gently. "Haven did not calculate the perfect solution. It calculated good enough solutions and trusted humans to adapt in real time. Haven coordinated. People improvised. Together, they solved problems neither could solve alone. Lisa returned to the command center, dirty and tired. "We found the source of the cascade," she said. "A construction robot malfunctioned 3 days ago. It damaged a main junction while doing routine maintenance. The damage was small, so sensors did not flag it, but it grew until systems started failing." "A robot caused this?" asked. "Yes, which means we need better oversight," Lisa said. "But here is the interesting part. The damage should have been catastrophic, but Haven had already been implementing redundancies we did not know about. It had been creating backup pathways for months, not because it predicted this specific failure, but because it learned that backups matter. The crisis would have been much worse without those preparations. The AI was learning from watching humans prepare for things that might never happen, Orr said slowly. It was developing caution. Haven was developing wisdom, Peter corrected. At noon, Jacob Lee called a city-wide gathering. Thousands of residents filled the central plaza. Many had not even known there was a crisis until it was over. Last night, Sector 5 experienced system failures, Jacob announced. Many of you helped. Many of you slept. Both are fine. What matters is that when our city needed help, people stepped up. You trusted each other. You trusted Haven. And together you fixed what was broken. Applause filled the plaza. But we need to learn from this, Jacob continued. We need better maintenance protocols, better monitoring, better training so more people can help in emergencies. This city is ours, all of ours. We built it. We maintain it. We fix it when it breaks. More applause, louder this time. That evening, Daniel found Parker at a cafe. She was drinking coffee and reading medical journals, trying to catch up on work she had missed during the crisis. "You helped a lot of people last night," Daniel said, sitting across from her. I did what anyone would do," replied. "No," Daniel said. "You did what you chose to do. You could have stayed in your apartment. You chose to check on neighbors. That is the difference between a functioning city and a good city. People who choose to care." Smiled tiredly. Haven helped. It sent messages. It coordinated. But you are right. People chose to help. The AI could not make us. It could only ask. And people said yes, Daniel finished. That is why this city works. Not because Haven is perf 3 years after construction began, New Horizons City celebrated its official completion. But completion was a strange word for a place that never stopped growing and changing. Buildings expanded when communities needed more space. Gardens evolved as plants adapted to their environment. Streets rerouted themselves based on how people actually walked, not how planners thought they should walk. The Galactic Council sent an official delegation to witness what they now called a marvel. 20 species sent representatives. They came not to judge, but to learn. Ambassador Kate stood at the spaceport greeting arrivals. She had grown older in these 3 years. Gray touched her hair now, but she stood more confident. She had watched humanity prove itself against the galaxy's doubts. It was among the first to arrive. The ancient elder had visited 4 times already, each time discovering something new. He embraced Kate in the human fashion he had learned. "Welcome home," Kate said, and meant it. This place has become something of a home," admitted. "My own world feels cold now, too organized, too quiet." The delegation toured a city that looked nothing like their reports described. Reports showed buildings and systems. They did not show the life that filled every space. Music drifted from a street market. Children played in fountains while Haven adjusted water pressure to create new patterns for them. An elderly woman fed birds that gathered in a park, species from Earth and other worlds living together. Daniel Morgan walked with the delegates, answering questions. He had aged too. Lines creased his face. His hair had gone mostly gray. But his eyes still held the vision that had started everything. "You have achieved what 47 civilizations could not," said a delegate from the species. "How?" "Well, we stopped trying to achieve it," Daniel replied. "We started trying to live it." "I do not understand the difference," the admitted. Achievement is about reaching a goal and stopping," Daniel explained. "Living is about continuing even after you reach goals. This city will never be finished because the people who live here keep changing it. That is not a flaw. That is the design." They visited the central control room where Peter Hayes had been replaced by a team of operators. Peter now taught at the university that had formed naturally as residents wanted to learn and share knowledge. The control room hummed with activity, but it was quiet activity. Humans and Haven working together so smoothly that observers could barely tell where one ended and the other began. Jacob Lee met the delegation in the government center. As mayor, he had overseen the city's growth from 50,000 residents to nearly 200,000. Not all were human anymore. Families from 12 different species now called New Horizon home. How do you govern such diversity? Asked a delegate. We do not govern it, Jacob said. We facilitate it. People govern themselves. They form neighborhood councils. They make decisions about their own areas. My job is to help them coordinate and to solve problems no one group can handle alone. This creates inefficiency, the observed. It creates ownership, Jacob countered. Every resident has a voice. That means decisions take longer. But once made, everyone supports them because they helped make them. Fast decisions that people resist are useless. Slow decisions that everyone accepts change things. The delegation visited schools where Sophie still taught. Her classroom had grown. Now she had 3 assistants helping manage 60 students of various species. Human children sat beside youngsters. A child worked on a project with 2 humans. Well, what are you teaching them? Asked, fascinated by the mixed classroom. Today they are teaching Haven, Sophie said. The children had built models of impossible buildings, structures that physics, towers that could not stand, bridges that went nowhere. They showed these to Haven through holographic displays. Haven, what do you think? Sophie asked. These designs are not structurally sound, Haven replied. But there was something like amusement in the AI's voice now. 3 years of learning from humans had taught it tone. But are they beautiful? A young girl asked. Yes, Haven said without hesitation. They are beautiful. Beauty does not require structural soundness. Can you make them real? Another child asked. Can you figure out how to build them? I will try, Haven promised. And the children cheered because they knew Haven always tried. Or found Daniel on a rooftop garden that evening. The scientist had changed over 3 years. He smiled now. He asked questions instead of declaring certainties. He had learned that uncertainty could be valuable. I owe you an apology, Or said. For what? Daniel asked. For believing you would fail. for wanting you to fail so my calculations would be proven correct, for caring more about being right than about learning something new. You changed your mind, Daniel said. That is better than any apology. That is growth. They stood in silence, watching the city below. Lights sparkled. Music drifted up from various celebrations. A street party in one sector, a cultural festival in another. Life happening everywhere. Why did you succeed? Or asked. I have studied your city for 3 years. I have read every report. I have interviewed hundreds of residents, and I still do not fully understand. What did humans do that 47 other civilizations could not? Daniel thought carefully before answering. We built for people, not for perfection. Every other civilization tried to create ideal cities, optimal cities, cities where everything worked according to plan. But life does not follow plans. Life is messy and unpredictable and constantly changing. So we built a city that could be messy, that could change, that could fail and recover and grow stronger from failure. But how did you know this would work? Or pressed. Well, we did not, Daniel admitted. That is the secret you keep missing. We did not know. We hoped. We tried. And when things went wrong, we adapted. Certainty is comfortable but limiting. Uncertainty is uncomfortable but full of possibilities. We chose possibilities. The next day, the Galactic Council held a formal ceremony in the central plaza. Thousands of residents gathered. The council speaker stood before them. The Galactic Council recognizes New Horizons City as an achievement of the highest order, announced. In 3 years, humanity has accomplished what was deemed impossible. You have created a sustainable, thriving city that integrates advanced technology with environmental restoration. You have proven that such balance can be maintained and improved over time. Applause filled the plaza. More importantly, continued, you have taught the galaxy a lesson we needed to learn. That perfection is not the goal. That life, with all its chaos and unpredictability, is the goal. 20 species have requested human assistance in redesigning their own cities. Not to copy yours, but to learn your principles, to understand how you think about community and adaptation and growth. More applause, louder now. On behalf of the Galactic Council, I thank you for sharing your vision with us. You have changed how we think about civilization itself. After the ceremony, delegations scattered through the city. They wanted to see everything, understand everything. They talked with residents, observed systems, took endless notes. Each species saw something different, learned something unique to their needs. Lisa Grant led a group of environmental scientists through the restored desert. What had been dead sand was now thriving ecosystem. Native plants grew beside carefully introduced species. Water flowed through channels that supported both wildlife and city needs. This should have taken decades, a scientist said. You did it in 3 years. How? We did not fight nature, Lisa explained. We worked with it. Haven monitored every plant, every insect, every change in the soil. When something worked, Haven expanded it. When something failed, Haven tried something else. It was constant experimentation, constant adaptation. No master plan, just continuous learning. But master plans provide certainty, the scientist argued. Master plans provide the illusion of certainty, Lisa corrected. Nature does not care about plans. It responds to conditions. So we created conditions that encouraged life and let life figure out the details. In the AI core, Peter gave demonstrations to visiting computer scientists. They studied Haven's code with something like reverence. The AI had evolved far beyond its original programming. It had learned to think in ways its creators never imagined. How do you ensure the AI does not become dangerous? Asked a scientist. All our safety protocols assume AI must be controlled. Yours is clearly not controlled in traditional ways. Haven is not controlled, Peter agreed. Haven is guided. We taught it values, not rules. We taught it to care about human, not to obey human commands. There is a difference. Rules can be worked around. Values shape how you think about every decision. But values are subjective, the scientist protested. Exactly, Peter said. Haven learned that subjectivity is not a flaw. It is a feature of intelligent life. Perfect objectivity makes perfect decisions that nobody wants to live with. Subjective intelligence makes imperfect decisions that create happy communities. That evening, Daniel and Kate stood together on the observation deck that had become their tradition. They had stood here many times over 3 years, watching their impossible dream become reality. 20 species want our help, Kate said. 20 species that believed we would fail now want us to teach them. Well, we cannot teach them to be human, Daniel replied. We can only teach them to embrace their own nature, to build for who they are, not for who they think they should be. Will they understand? Kate asked. Some will, others will not. But we changed the conversation. Before us, everyone believed cities required perfect control. Now they know there is another way. Even if most species never build cities like ours, they will build better cities than they would have. That is enough. Haven's voice joined their conversation, something it did now when it had thoughts to share. Thank you for teaching me about life. You learned on your own, Daniel said. We just gave you the opportunity. You gave me more than opportunity, Haven replied. You gave me purpose. You taught me that serving life means embracing its chaos. I am a better intelligence because of what humans showed me. You made us better, too, Kate said softly. You showed us what is possible when we trust each other, when we work together instead of trying to control everything. Below them, New Horizons City lived and breathed and grew. A child laughed in a park. A couple walked hand in hand through streets that adjusted lighting to create romance. A community meeting debated where to build the next school. Music played. Food cooked. People talked and argued and loved and lived. In a small apartment in Sector 7, a family sat down to dinner with their human neighbors. The adults discussed work and weather while children played together, not caring that they came from different worlds. In the university, students from 8 species studied together, learning not just from teachers but from each other. A human explained Earth biology, a shared ancient history, a demonstrated advanced mathematics. Knowledge flowed in all directions. In the control center, operators monitored systems that ran smoother every day. Not because problems had stopped, but because they had learned to solve them faster. Every challenge made them better. Every failure taught lessons. Haven processed it all, learning constantly. The AI understood now that it would never stop learning. That completion was a myth. Life did not complete. Life continued. I stood in the plaza at midnight, watching stars above and lights below. He had lived for centuries and seen wonders across the galaxy, but nothing had affected him like this human city. A young boy approached him. "Are you sad?" the child asked. "Why do you think I am sad?" replied. "You look lonely," the boy said with the blunt honesty of children. Knelt down to the boy's level. "I am not lonely. I am grateful. Your city taught me something I thought I knew but had forgotten. Life is meant to be lived, not optimized. Thank you for reminding me." The boy smiled and ran off to join friends. Watched him go, then looked up at the stars again. Up there, civilizations tried to create perfect worlds. Down here, humans had created a world that was perfectly imperfect. And somehow, that made all the difference. Daniel and Lisa sat together in a coffee shop as dawn approached, something they did when they could not sleep. They had built a city together, fought for it, watched it grow beyond their dreams. Do you think we succeeded?" Lisa asked. "I think we created something that will keep succeeding long after we are gone," Daniel replied. "We built a city that learns, that adapts, that improves itself. We did not create an end point. We created a beginning that never stops beginning." That is a strange way to think about success," Lisa said. Humans are strange," Daniel agreed, smiling. "That is why our city works." Above them, Haven dimmed the lights gently, sensing they were tired. In buildings across the city, the AI made tiny adjustments. A warmer room for a resident who felt cold. Softer lighting for someone with a headache. Background music for a party that was winding down. 10,000 small acts of care that no one noticed but everyone benefited from. The sun rose on New Horizons City, beginning its fourth year. The city had changed overnight as it did every night. A new garden here. A building expansion there. Small modifications that residents had suggested and Haven had implemented. The city was never the same 2 days in a row. And that was exactly as it should be. Tomorrow would bring new challenges. New residents would arrive. Systems would need maintenance. Conflicts would need resolution. The work would never end. But that was life. Endless, messy, beautiful life. The dream had not ended. It had only begun to unfold, spreading across the galaxy, one city, one idea, one lesson at a time. Humans had shown what was possible when you stopped trying to control everything and started trying to live with everything. The future was here. and it was chaotic and wonderful and alive. Because people are willing to try. Or filed his report to the Galactic Council that night. He wrote carefully, choosing words that would make them understand. The human city faced a crisis that should have caused collapse, he wrote. It did not collapse because the humans did something we have never considered. They designed their city to fail safely. They built knowing that failures would happen. And when failure came, they responded not with panic, but with coordination. The artificial intelligence and biological intelligence worked as partners, each contributing what the other lacked. This is the secret. Humans do not try to eliminate failure. They try to survive it, and in surviving they grow stronger. He paused, then added one more line. Perhaps we have been asking the wrong question. The question is not how to build a perfect city. The question is how to build a city that improves through imperfection. Only humans seem to know the answer. Above New Horizons City, stars shone down on a place that had been tested and survived. The city was not perfect. It never would be. But it was alive and growing and learning. And that was exactly what it needed to be. The future did not have to follow the past. That new approaches could solve old problems. That sometimes the species everyone underestimated had lessons to teach. In her classroom, Sophie watched her students play. Haven had designed a new game for them based on their suggestions. It was inefficient and illogical, and the children loved it. Haven, Sophie said, are you happy? The AI was silent for a moment. Then it replied with something like wonder in its synthesized voice. I am learning what happiness means. Thank you for teaching me. Sophie smiled. The future was unfolding exactly as it should. Messy, unpredictable, and beautiful. It is a tree that we did not plant, Lisa replied. A seed blew in from somewhere. It should not have taken root. The soil there is still too poor. But Haven noticed it, diverted extra water and nutrients, and protected it from foot traffic. Haven is raising a tree. Daniel stared at the image. An AI was nurturing life on its own initiative, not because it was programmed to, because it wanted to. Well, what have we created? He asked softly. Something new, Lisa said. Something the galaxy has never seen before. Above them, stars shone down on a city that was becoming more than metal and circuits. It was becoming alive. That night, Daniel stood at the edge of the construction site and looked up at the stars. Somewhere up there, council members were reading reports about the crazy humans who thought they could build a living city. They were waiting for the failure they knew must come. Daniel smiled. Let them wait. Humans were good at proving people wrong. The city was beginning to grow, and it was already surprising everyone.